Oh, thank you so much. As usual, Casanova, we'll check back in with you after this series is over. But
That's
my
so
goodness. All right,
sad.
we get to see some two new teams for not for me, but for me today because this is my first broadcast here for Wild Rift. We saw a
Woo!
lot of
Welcome.
Cloud9. We saw some good Cloud9. We saw some bad Cloud9. And I'm thinking that this matchup is going to be a lot closer than the match that we just saw with Tribe and Cloud9, even considering that was what we were saying, probably the top two teams here in this event. I guess, Cloud9 just really didn't show up, but if the two teams to show up, Immortals, my goodness, has every single time an enemy. Again, that bottom lane is really something to fear.
Exactly. Selma, I think, has been one of the more pronounced supports. Is always at least typing on Twitter, always typing in the general chat of the server. I always get to see Selma, but has had a lot of success on Gragas. And I wonder what the priorities. I love watching drafts where you get to see specifically what teams are looking for and what they really don't want to play up against. I mean, we even get to see it from the last game where Braum is just MIA from everybody's mind. Nobody knows that engaged supports exist anymore.
Nope,
And
they don't.
here for them, I want to see how NME are going to tackle the mid lane problem, because if Hoon gets off to a weak start or you force him on Corki, they Immortals tends to struggle a little bit with finding a victory.
I was gonna say, when you're like, there's no such thing as the the initiating supports. You got Rakan is the only one, I think, for
Oh
Leverage.
yes,
Rakan is the
yes.
only initiator, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here. But enemy, they are going to take that Varus away, another one of the strong ones. I don't think we're going to be able to see a Ziggs whatsoever here today, just because of how
Nope.
powerful he is and the flexibility in that pick as well. So it will be the Malphite banned away from a Louis.
Wow. That's really surprising. So they want to have Iraqi Zoro on something else, put him potentially on a Camille, on a Renekton. I think that he had an okay performance on champions like this that weren't Malphite, but obviously his bread and butter has to lay with the unstoppable force himself. So we'll have to see, especially now with Lee Sin gone, taking that away from Lamont and from Tybe, I think is certainly a telling kind of ban here for them. And just means that the jungle pool is still a little bit open. We still have that Camille pick available, and we still have Olaf and Wukong, all of which have been very strong for these two individual junglers.
It is going to be a first lock-in for Lucian. Very, very high priority today and on this patch, with a few of the nerfs as well to some of the tankier members of Wild Rift that we have seen here in the past. But it will be Senna, Corki. No big surprise. We've kind of seen that almost all of these games. If Senna is not the first pick for a team, she is absolutely one of the two picks for the opposing side.
And we haven't seen much of it since the changes, but Corki, at least for today, Corki can still be played in the bot lane. Zeo has shown that, they do definitely play a couple of champions. It is, let me just make sure that I'm right on this. It has just been Xayah and Corki every single game. Okay, so it's Corki, a massive amount of Corki because they love to flex it with Hoon, but also a little bit of Ezreal, a little bit of Xayah. It's mostly been this champion, and looking forward to how we see some of these flexes as Immortals get their Nami and they get Gragas as well.
They do, and Gragas is a good one to take away from Selma, though, you can assume that with the Senna locked in there, that's not really the direction they're planning to go, but also, a nice flex pick. They are immediately going to lock in the Nami, though, so we are pretty aware of where that Gragas is limited to. Camille will be the lock-in, so it looks like that is the possibility. And it looks like NME also, they banned out some really good picks from Immortals, and now they're picking sort of their fallback selections, like that Camille they're taking away, the Corki taking that one away, as one of those that Hoon has been kind of forced onto, but played very, very well with in the past. Jarvan.
We're picking Fizz? Is this Fizz? This could be Fizz mid. This could be Fizz jungle. It fell off a little bit just because it got nerfed. You can obviously play Akali top. This would be a new look for Iraqi Zoro if we're going to see an Akali up there. I want to see what the lock-ins are here after we see this last pick for NME. They can pick up a mid laner that's favorable into them. I'm trying to think. Katarina doesn't feel all that good into this matchup. You have a couple of champions, but we're going to see them. Okay, finally Pantheon makes his appearance. I've been waiting. We got to see a little bit in qualifier too, and that's why I'm super jealous of Rafa and Smax. They got to actually cast some Pantheon games. This champion is just like ruling every other region. SEA, Europe, the soon-to-be China region, just like it has been everywhere except here in North America, and we're finally going to see some more of it this time for Selma.
And very, very exciting way to kick things off, too, for NME to lock in. I mean, they got, we're talking initiation in the last games. My goodness, have you seen
We're
any
fighting.
more
Mm-hmm.
on that side with, Selma on that Pantheon. I mean, with Tybe on the Camille, with Louis on the Jarvan, who has kind of fallen off a little bit. I will say Jarvan, not as good as he used to be and not as high of a pick priority, but definitely something that can work very, very well with this team composition that NME is trying to go through with. They're already going for an initiation, though. It's Selma. That just goes to show right there why you can't let Pantheon go through to any lane, especially not a duo lane.
Immediately has to pick up the honey fruit, and it's just this is one of the things though when you have a Nami. Yeah, Pantheon will probably pick up a lot of gold or do a lot of damage. I mean, Nami will just heal her back up, heal this Lucian back up. So yeah. Very dangerous. And speaking about Alui, we got to talk about it a little bit, but Alui has so many special top lane picks in the Baron lane. I talked about it before, but Lee Sin was there. Didn't find too much success of it, but it was against Tribe. Not a lot of teams have found any success against Tribe, to be fair. So this team always trying to break out some new innovative picks, and putting Jarvan in the top lane just gives you so much flexibility. And speaking about that, it's time to fight for Scuttle.
Already going down. Lamont goes a little bit too far in, gets stunned up once again. It will be the first blood to go down. Selma very, very low here. Goon was able to at least provide a little bit in response, but no more kills. Enemy finds a victorious fight.
Was it worth it, Immortals? Lamont, I'm sure if you're a jungler, you're like, I flashed and died for Crab. It's fine. We got him. We got the Crab. It was worth. I'm just going to say, not worth, guys. It is like not that much gold. It's a little bit of experience, and like, yeah, you get some vision, but it's just not worth going down there for first blood and it going to the Corki, going over to someone like Truth. It's very dangerous. They're going for this. That should be a kill.
It's going to be a bubble, and it will be a kill going over to Selma. Yikes is out of mana, but is able to get out of this one just fine. DNZO not going to decide to push farther on that one.
That should just be, I mean, that's just the bot lane match, I think, decided for at least for the time being. It's just how dangerous it is. You're playing Lucian, and especially when you're behind someone like this, Pantheon. Hoon getting solo.
Almost gets taken out there by Truth. That was so very close. The barrier, saving Hoon's life there.
Good for them. I mean, there's not much to do here. Now they picked up, I don't know if they picked up the honey fruit in mid lane. It looks like they didn't, just off of the indicator, but I mean, look at this. Now can roam into the bot side. If they want to make a trade, they can try to find this, but all of this being warded should stop Immortals from continuing to lose more and more on the map.
Also, really just seeing Selma appear and, look relatively aggressive. You gotta be careful. Already in a lane that kind of has a little bit of a lackluster priority on this one. So instead, it looks like enemy is going to, take their losses on the bottom side, decide to push towards mid, but no opportunity there to hop onto Immortals.
They're finding something. Here's the ults.
The tidal wave comes out, the flash comes out and away. It's going to be DNZO's ultimate that comes out as well to try to prevent any more damage onto Selma. That's going to be it.
Jolly, I have bad news. This is looking terrible for Immortals.
It really is. Oh no, and there's going to be the last embrace of forced flash away from Yikes, and it will be the Ignite that gets the kill right there. Selma will be jumped on here though, because Levant does not go very far away.
Okay, that's good for Immortals. They're on the board finally, but that is so dangerous for them. The fact that they're going to have to play with fire into that bot lane and forcing so much. Lamont kind of getting a little bit antsy. Maybe it is just those we're playing against enemy jitters, but doing a lot in the early game that I think are unforced errors for them. Means the Dragon will be the first one to go over for NME. Cullen comes out.
Doesn't
Pantheon
quite hit the
ult?
dragon, and in comes Pantheon on the backside. Truth trying to do what they can with the package.
Selma? Oh,
Oh,
God.
Lamont
Oh,
did not
oh,
get
oh,
over the wall.
no.
Is stuck in half to now flash.
Oh.
Camille has a hook shot, though. Tries to re-engage. It just takes way too much damage. The kill is going to go over to Nami thanks to that tidal wave. A dodge off the way from the bubble by Selma means to stay
Truth.
alive just a little bit longer. Lamont going down here, and oh, way, Louis manages to stay alive.
Nice.
And Truth picks up a triple kill.
What starts off as a massive mistake by Immortals gets paid back a little bit in kind by NME, but they're able to continue to find victory in their team fight. It was a close one, and I think a few more mistakes from NME, and we have potentially an IMT who is looking back into this game, but I don't know if maybe it's a uncomfortable, like they're just not comfortable on Fizz, or we're just making some fresh mistakes. This is the first time we've seen Fizz from Lamont on the stage, at least here in the first circuit for Summoner Series. This is a really rough early game, mechanically speaking, from IMT as a whole.
It absolutely is. And you know what? Even honestly, just looking at their composition, though, there's not fallback on this one. There is a necessity for early aggression, early damage and kills. And the problem is NME has so much of this frontline initiation that we've been talking about, that we saw that was so successful coming from Tribe in the last series that we watched here. And so not much of a front line to absorb the damage and the initiation that NME comes through with, but that is going to be one of them. In it goes. Grog as Truth gets locked down. Hextech Ultimatum comes out, and it will be another kill for Selma with that Ignite. Hoon a little bit too far back, now soloed out here. It will be Type that picks up that kill, and guys, almost going down. Will go down. Selma says, I'll take a tower shot or two for my team, and we are going to find not quite an ace, but almost every single shutdown.
It's as good as it's going to get for an ace. We're getting close to it. I'm sure NME are not picking themselves apart too much for finding 4 instead of 5. NME taking a really good stance, and honestly, I had some questions about whether or not they were going to try to win this, because Immortals, all things considered, do have, I think, in my opinion, a little bit of a better late game composition. They scale pretty well. Yes, there's a Senna on the enemy team, and you have things like the Camille and this Pantheon, but as the game goes further on, the Camille ultimate can get disabled thanks to Iraqi Zora's Gragas. If you have someone like a Louis jumping near your backline, well, almost every single one of these members have some kind of movement ability. It's so easy for you to just free scale into the late parts of this game. The tidal wave just barely misses onto Zeo, and they're trying to find something, trying to find any kind of pick to garner some space back into this game, but 6,000 gold at 7.5 minutes in, Immortals getting desperate for this.
There's going to be the ultimate come out from Lamont, who takes
too
many shots there. Truth doesn't quite do the damage,
Pantheon
but it looks
ult.
like the ultimate will. It's going to be the Pantheon ult that comes through with the kill. Not quite the Hextech Ultimatum. Another flash away from Yikes. Selma says, hey, okay, I have that move too.
Oh, no. You know when there's a Pantheon support and they're just flexing on you the entire time? As a solo laner, that is even worse. It feels worse. You get the Rift Herald now for them as well. NME have all but locked this game up at 8 minutes already. They need to find some kind of an advantage, but they're using this Pantheon so well, and Tybe is having an excellent game themselves.
For sure. I mean, I talked about Selma being one of the best supports, in my opinion, here, and this is part of the reason. Just such an aggressive player, and is totally okay with taking non-meta picks. I mean, the fact that Gragas is the #1 pick for this player alone really kind of tells the tale of how they like to engage and initiate in these lanes, and how quickly they'd like to try to get away from this laning phase as well. But you're absolutely right, Alk. NME is their kind of their game to lose right now. They need to just continue to keep pressure up, keep getting these pinches out that they have been, and Immortals, if they can keep pulling mistakes out of them the way they have been, then it's going to be smooth sailing.
Yep. I will say I really like this this draft from NME, not because it's winning, but also like just the idea of Camille plus Jarvan to lock up enemies makes it really difficult for you to get away from someone like a Pantheon. And we'll see right here, Lamont, he gets 6,000 dashes, but probably 6,001 would have gotten him out of there.
Possibly. The exploding cast coming in just a little too late. It ends up actually throwing NME away out of potential range there of Gragas really participating in the fight. Gulling's going to come out as enemy. 3 members put a lot of pressure here onto this bottom tier 2 tower. Now they're going
Hoon,
to move
run!
up, and
Run!
Hoon needs to be very careful here. Perfectly navigated away, though. Excellent communication there and a nice little ward to show off the rest of enemy.
Okay, if Hoon goes down there, that's how you know it's a give up angle. It's a just lay down and hope that the game ends fast enough, because again, such a huge member when it comes to their wins and in their losses. Hoon is the guy when IMT is either winning or losing that you're looking to try and 1v9 a game. Doesn't matter the game state, he will try to win the game. And right now, he's going to need to find a really interesting way to get back into this one, because it's now 10,000. You're down in almost every single lane. And we're seeing it now. The top lane has been a little bit quiet. I want to see a little bit more out from this Jarvan, out from a Louis, before I have any demeaning remarks about with this Jarvan pick. Because I think at this point, you could have probably picked any top laner and it would have looked fine. It would have looked about the same. But if Louis can find a sick engage, or we can see a little bit more from this Jarvan, I think NME have a real threat in their top side.
And even if it's, just to force out the playful trickster, then it's worthwhile. We can see an initiation right there. The tidal wave will get some pop-ups, but it's still a lot of damage. Out comes the cataclysm underneath the tower. Exhausted is a Louis, but it doesn't matter because Hoon gets hit here by the Hextech ultimatum. It's going to be a double kill, but oh my goodness, that fizz damage will have a little bit of a response.
There we go,
Truth. Members of enemy go down, but it doesn't make a difference. They have the pressure. They've won the fight, and Yikes is the only member alive for Immortals.
They can probably take this inhibitor. They don't have a big wave here, and even though Tyve, I think, would do a ton of damage, I just don't think they'll be able to end it here. But that should just be... I mean, at this point, Immortals are more of a passing grace in this game than necessarily playing this one out. They're trying as they can, and I think that fight was pretty close, just because they were fighting under turret, and we got to see the playful trickster out from Lamont, but that was a consolation prize for Immortals from NME.
We'll see how they decide to move forward. This is pretty much, I mean, you're looking at a 13k gold lead in favor of enemy right now at less than 12 minutes in. They're poising for a fight around Baron, and instantly down goes Lamont. Zoro will be the one to follow. Hextech ultimatum to come out on the backside onto Yikes, and that's the Grand Skyfall. Not even necessary there. Selma just wanting to participate in the fight, and that will be a free Baron for enemy.
All right, so from here, Jolly, I think it might be, we might need to be thinking of how does IMT win the next game? How do they adapt from this? Oh, we're going to have a lot on our hands coming out of this game, because right now you have to not only deal with the jungle, which I think Lamont probably just had a bad game, had a bad day. That happens, whatever. This bot lane got absolutely rolled. So what is our bot lane counter pick? We're looking at the Tsunami and Fergoom, who have been, all right performers on their team in the past couple days during the qualifiers, but they are serviceable. And like I said, when we're looking at Immortals, between the rest of the team, you are looking at a bunch of role players. They are there to simply fulfill the role. They play it at a pretty decent rate, but we haven't seen amazing carry performances from everybody on the side of Immortals, and I think that might stifle their ability to go very far in some of these majors when we have such teams that are playing with almost a fully stacked roster of talent.
Yeah, and you got to be able to play against these kind of cheesy comps, especially from someone like Enemy. That Cask is not going to do very much at all. Not only did it not do much for the utility, it did no damage. Lamont is going to be the target here. Will get taken down. Hoon, though, manages to find the one, gets back under tower. That's a big shutdown. Skyfall comes through from Selma, though, and the tower will go down. No more tower shots to help Hoon out here. It will likely be a quick death without being able to take down Tyve. In the meantime, pressure in the top side. Zoro barely able to stay alive, but 3 members now of enemy are on to the Nexus with Baron minions. That will be game number 1. Immortals losing to start out to enemy with such an impressive composition.
This may be a super copium answer, but if there was a bot lane turret that wasn't just about to die there for Hoon, I think he 1v9s. I think he gets the kills there. He's able to at least stall out a little bit for IMT, but Turrets go down really fast. The minions in Wild Rift are ferocious. End up kind of
Baron
just
minions are
completely
insane.
collapsing. Yeah, I mean, you thought minions. I've lost games just regular minions slamming my Nexus turret. It's actually disgusting how good they are. And Baron ones just make it all that much worse to deal with. Yeah, IMT just got rolled that game. Like, every single lane lost. The Selma made sure that every lane felt their presence with this Pantheon. And yet again, we're seeing pop-off Camille performances. I don't think it's just a Tribe Gaming exclusive. It seems like Camille is coming out as, if you've got hands, this champion will just take over the game. NME with a really strong game, and I don't know. I feel like some of this draft just threw me off so much from what we've seen from Immortals in the past.
Absolutely. Some of it's standard, but really the cohesion is kind of what we've been talking about for a lot of these team comps, and where games can fall off in the draft. And that is absolutely one of them. The flexibility that we're seeing on the side of NME compared to what Immortals just today has offered is interesting. But, we also have to consider we had kind of a lackluster game one from Cloud9 as well. They might not have lost it in the match number 1, but they still kind of felt a little lackluster. So hopefully this is just Immortals kind of getting into the swing of things, understanding what NME is bringing to the table this time. They just really need to step up their game. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to be the exact same thing we saw in that last matchup before, when we had Cloud9 just a second ago. Cloud9 into Tribe. I'm that forgetful already, but
it's all right.
You've got the opportunities for them to maybe grow a little. Just not a good sign when it comes to a really solid composition on one side and a lacking composition on the other.
IMT, so think about how different this draft is going to be once we get into the second game. I don't know what side they are. That we'll figure it out as we get closer to draft. But not only do they need to somehow find an answer for Pantheon, they also would probably need to ban it, which means Malphite, Rakan, or Galio are now on the table. They're going to have to change this jungle pickup unless they are really, really keyed in on this Fizz, which we didn't even get to touch on this, but like, you look at Fizz, you have 3 members who are doing magic damage now on your team, with Lucian being the sole AD. You can just build a bunch of match resist, and boom, now all that ability power is gone. So already going to see about 2 or 3 changes there for Immortals, and I don't think Iraqi Zoro had all that much of a problem. I think in top lane, I think he just kind of, as a Baron laner, had that similar experience where you're playing. You're playing against your top lane matchup. Maybe it's a little bit unorthodox. You press tab or you press the button that shows the scoreboard, and you're like, "Oh my god, my team! Oh god!"
Yes. Honestly, I mean, Selma is going to pick champions that do that. And that's another thing you have to consider, is it's really hard to draft up against enemies, specifically because of Selma, specifically because of the flex picks. There are a lot of flex picks right now in Wild Rift. The majority of them are flex between jungle and top or jungle and mid. I mean, Selma is just taking in whatever works really well. We're looking at like the old style, like Season 3 League of Legends kill lanes kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, and just play everything.
Play everything, and Selma is absolutely capable of doing that from this support position. So, while you can try to take things away, it's really hard to try to get counter picks into NME because of the amount of flexibility that they show right off the bat.
Yeah, this has definitely been one of Selma's most flexible picks. Like, obviously, Pantheon being able to crop up in the draft is always dangerous. You saw there on the lower third for everybody at home, just Gragas, Rakan, Nami, plays a little bit of Galio, had a little bit of a 0% win rate on Janna, but it's only 1 game. Is definitely the spiciest, I think, support pick we've had throughout the entire first circuit, and I'm looking forward to what that means for other teams as they start to innovate. And finally, we get some kind of engaged support that isn't Rakan, can actually go in and do a ton of damage in the meantime. And I'm looking forward, again, Selma as our front runner for possibly one of the best supports that we have. What do they bring to the table, and how do they shake up the meta for their role?
By far, I'm really excited actually just going into the second matchup, because you can imagine that based on that Pantheon performance, it's going to be banned away. If they don't ban it, it's one of those where It's not necessary, but it is a really smart move to just take off what impacted every single lane. And when you have a support
Mhm.
player doing that, removing the Pantheon is the expectation, but there are just so many options that Selma has, and they're options that I'm sure we're not even aware of because it's not in his most played champions. So to come through here, there could be really anything coming forward. The Nami has been his most standard pick coming into this one, but that's really
Mhm.
mostly just kind of been forced on him with the Gragas and the Pantheon bans away. I do believe draft for game number 2, though, here between Immortals and NME is underway, so let us click over to that and take a look at how things start out. Immortals are going to stay here on the blue side, NME once again on the red, so Immortals prioritizing that first pick.
I can't wait until we get back to the desk and we get to see Casanova after 2 games. Just get the good old classic stamp of Jaff Diff on that one
Right?
from Immortals.
Yeah, I'll answer that
We'll
question
see.
again.
Exactly. I can't wait to we get the Casanova's gonna come back. We'll hear the pages flipping through,
Yep,
and then
yep.
just boom, hit him up and call it a day after that. So we were talking about what were going to be the adaptations for them. It was going to have to either be that Pantheon. Was it going to be something more along the top lane? Gragas has to go through the pool. We still have a ton of answers here for Immortals, and we'll have to see what they change up, if anything at all.
Well, let's take a look. We have the Ziggs, Varus, and the Lee Sin bans for game number 1 here for NME. It was Galio, Rakan, and Malphite for Immortals. So, a little bit of a switch up for the positioning for Immortals bans, but it looks like they are going to stick with about the same ones. And you know what? I do just have to say, it's not very often that you get 2 to 3 bans against a support. That's got to feel real good for
Feels
Selma.
good. Feels good, man. Feels good, man. I mean, they're also just strong supports, so it works. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're taking it away, but they are running it back a little bit, right? We have the Ziggs and Lee Sin. Malphite should be the next one for Immortals. There it is. They're running
Yep.
it back, at least on the bans. Immortals, please do not get into that same situation where we saw Pantheon just run the game. Maybe they try to go for it and say, hey, look, we'll just take it away from you. We'll take up the first pick on this. There's just so much available. Senna's still there, like you were saying. Gragas is going to be the change up here for NME.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not banning out the Varus. So that might be a priority that they are kind of looking towards, especially if you've got somebody like a Lucian. I mean, that is obviously a flex pick that we have seen primarily. Well, actually, it's been like kind of 50-50. Today, it's been primarily in the bottom lane, but in the past, it's I spent a lot of time there in the mid, and that is going to be it. Like I said, if first pick is not Senna and she's not banned out,
it's got to be
the
Senna.
second team, it will absolutely be Senna and somebody else, and it is going to be the Corki once again here. Another prio pick, really for anyone who likes to play aggressive mid lane.
All right. Well, okay. I will take it. It's not Fizz. You know what that means?
Better.
I hope it's better. Yes, please. Camille has been an all right jungler so far, and we've been seeing it really tear up the major so far. And that just means that NME, they're going to continue with their flex, right? They're going to pick up the Varus. They're going to have their Jarvan as well, potentially for a Louis. You have to think that that's going to be going up there. Immortals, what's your answer here, buddy? Because now you've got free range into what you can pick here. You know Corki's going mid lane. You can pick a good matchup for Hoon. Something, please. Immortals, do not disappoint me. I don't want to be sad on broadcast for 2 games for you guys.
Yeah, especially with the rough second game that we saw C9 fall earlier in, and it's going to be the Orianna, and hey, would you look at that, the Wukong. So even more flex, likely meaning Iraqi Zoro is going to be taking that Camille up to the top lane, or honestly, with Wild Rift, it could be anything. I like to try to make assumptions, but there's no really solid meta yet ingrained into the scene right now. So we'll have to see how things go. However, Wukong in the jungle has been pretty big. Wukong was one of my first top mains, so you always gotta consider the flexibility here. Wukong taught me how to creep, how to CS. I won't lie about that one. A very good champion.
Well, yeah, you get a free basic auto attack upgrade. You could just farm from range.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's great. It's great. But great one to learn to do grinding, learning how to do CS. They used to do the custom games and stuff, and so very effective on that one. But It is going to be another Olaf. It might not be the same team we saw it on last time, but it will be an equally aggressive jungler who will be taking that one in. There could be a swap. You could also have the Jarvan in the
You
jungle
could
and
have
Olaf at the
Jarvan
top.
and
You could
Olaf top.
anything, anywhere, honestly.
It's possible. Maybe not into Wukong, or maybe not into Camille. That matchup is not that fun versus Camille, but I see Olaf right now for NME. I see Tybe, who is a fantastic player in their own right, and I look at Immortals. Where's your front line? Who's stopping Olaf? Olaf just runs into your team. Who stops Jarvan? Who puts up that wall against Jarvan when he just runs at you and flag and drags right into your back line? And with the poke that comes out of this is kind of like that draft that we were talking about, where you have a ton of marksmen, and now you have frontline / people who can tank up some of that damage from the enemy and create a solid frontline for your team. Where Immortals, Wukong has a lot of pressure to do stuff in this game that I don't necessarily think should be there.
Yeah, and at the same time, you know what? At least it's better than the last draft that they had for frontline. At least,
sure.
The last one you had Gragas. That was it. At least now you got two kind of initiators, frontline initiators, and there's a lot more mobility, a lot more opportunity with these. So, you've got the clone from Wukong there. You've got the hook shot as well from Meraki Zoro on the Camille. So you do have a little bit more opportunity to disengage if you want. So that's at least confiding. It's not necessarily going to help them stand up against a Jarvan and an Olaf, but at least it's something to do something. It's more than we got last game. I'll give them that.
I'll take it at this point, man.
Yeah.
Look, Immortals just had a really bad game that time. And I'm sure everybody at home, anybody with eyes, saw just the performance. But here's for IMT. Here's to IMT trying to find a better game too.
Here's
and every team knows. Yes, there you go.
How about that, IMT? You have that going for you.
Just build armor and you win.
Armor,
it is free. I promise you. Corki does damage, but he doesn't do that much damage. Played steel caps. I'm sad because we'll get Sam and Rafa on later today. But right now, I had to actually do an investigation because I know during the second qualifier, this man was a huge plated steel cap shill. He was just always like, guys, this item is broken and everybody's just dropping full AD team comps. Just do it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. A lot, and especially now looking at NME here with so much attack damage on their side, that does give a little bit of an opportunity for Immortals. That's a little... Immortals fans have at least a little silver lining on this one. Even though people might see a little bit more aggression, a little bit more success, possibly on the composition from NME. So I'm feeling better about this one. All right, we got the opportunity here for Hoon to really, really pop off and really show how much he provides this team in Immortals.
Not to be a hater or anything, but plated steel caps is cool, and oh my god, he's about to get soloed under turret? Oh, come on. No, Louis.
Well, hey, there you go. Another good thing for Immortals fans. Right there.
All right, never mind. I'm no longer a hater. Never mind. IMT new stand incoming.
Exactly, right? I mean, hey, you know what? They've got a good setup here for something. They need to try to not let NME get a lot of pressure here in the bottom side so that it can be a lot more focus from Tybe onto, things like the mid lane and the top lane. But both of these are pretty self-sufficient. You've got Senna heals, you've got Nami heals. You got some decent range, some decent poke from both of them. So this is kind of just a self-sustaining bottom side that really can go either direction depending on who makes a really solid move first or who responds appropriately.
It's a really sick item this game, actually. I just thought about this, and you have Nami, who, so far the support builds for Ardents haven't been about what I expected. A lot of them just end up going full AP, or they pick up their staff and then they just go AP anyway. Crystalline Reflector, new item, gives you AP and armor and ability haste, and also stops doing a lot of damage from someone like NME who doesn't have a lot of burst damage and wants to continuously do damage back to you. And Crystalline Reflector actually has a lot of hidden potential to be really good this game if they opt for it.
Yeah, it's like I love the name of it too, because that item, I mean, it's very fitting, you know. It's like you're putting up these like little deflectors almost,
Mirrors,
like
yeah.
little mirrors around you basically that are going to prevent that AP damage from coming through. So definitely a very helpful item, and you know, one that I always forget about the
no
newer
hook
items,
shot.
but that's going to be Zoro. Out comes, oh my gosh, the Hextech Ultimatum to get out of the Cataclysm. That was fancy, but it's not going to save his life.
Good feet, good hands, but not enough at this point. They will crash a pretty big wave here that Iraqi Zoro will not have access to. And on the bot side, it means that they're going to have to make this trade smartly. So enemies bot lane, Selma and Zio say, yeah, I don't think we need to step up here. I think one wave is not going to be worth us potentially going down. They get themselves a plate, 1-for-1 on either side. And with Dragon spawning up in 10 seconds, I can't imagine NME are going to want to step up to this. Maybe want to make a trade for that Rift Herald.
That's definitely going to be the ideal option, especially with the recalls that they're making, with Olaf going back at the moment. You're not going to want to try to rival that one unless you have a smite available when so many members of IMT are around. But look, they're actually going to back off of this one thanks to a little bit of the poke there coming from DNZO. In the meantime, the rest of NME is trying to make their way through this river pathing. See if Immortals has any response. It will be Lamont jumping on to Corky, who uses the package to get out. Some nice poke there from that piercing arrow. The hook shot to go in, though, and that will be so much crowd control. Doesn't matter when you've got a Ragnarok, but oh my goodness, the pulling coming out on the backside. A lot of damage here from this Varus, and now it is just the members of Immortal running away one by one. As much damage as the enemy had taken there, it was not on a single target, and 4 members stay alive.
Camille cannot find the flank. Hoon is not able to put out the damage for this team fight. And that is an Ocean Drake. That is there's 4 kills going over to NME. And they had first say onto this Drake and will now meet up back at this Rift Herald. You see, take a look at what Louis is doing. Still has the Cataclysm, still has Flag and Drag. And if they stay for a little bit longer, IMT potentially could find themselves in a really bad team fight. But oh, man, that is such a rough time for IMT right there. That fight, I'd have to watch it back a couple times if I can get some time in review, but I just don't know if Immortals really want to find that one.
Yeah, it seemed like a really good position for them to go in on that dragon, right? You said that they've got the priority. They should be able to move on this one. They even had enemy push way far back. You had Selma and DNZO, I mean, staying behind just because they were aware that it was too dangerous to move forward on that one. So a lot of opportunity, but the rest of the team didn't follow up with it. But there was no movement down from the mid or from the jungle, and so it just ended up being those 2 bottom, the duo laners down here in Goom and Yikes, that couldn't do anything. So you get the recalls, and then enemy, the second something is given as an opportunity, enemy will recognize that and immediately take it away, and Immortals just can't give them those opportunities.
I wonder, with this identity that we've now seen, I'll hold that as I think Hoon.
Oh, that was so rude. The Hextech Ultimatum comes out, though, and it will be enough. It's not Hoon that gets the kill, but that's going to be Cataclysm onto Hoon. The bubble to follow up onto Louis, who does get taken down there thanks to that Q from Camille. Now she gets locked and rooted up, though. The piercing arrow is going to get the kill, and it's once again 3 members of Immortals or more running away from the survivors of NME. Truth is very, very low. That the last embrace is not going to hit, so the fight should end right about there. Maybe. Oh my goodness, these piercing arrows, though. So much damage.
Okay, good. So I look at this and I'm thinking, trying to find this onto Hoon. I was wondering, because of the new identity that we've seen from IMT, where you're putting Zoro on more of these split pushers, more of these pseudo carries like the Camille, does that mean that Hoon has to take a little bit of a backseat in terms of carry potential? Because we saw it in the last game. Hoon is constantly the point of attack for NME. He is able to stay a little bit resilient in the mid lane, but I wonder if that has affected their ability to, it's no longer just the Hoon show, no longer just a 1v9 performance from the mid laner of Immortals, and maybe it's hurt their identity as we go further in this tournament.
Certainly a possibility. Honestly, there has been very little initiation as well coming from Immortals jungle. You know, Lamont has once again, been stuck on this reactive play style, whereas you got so much initiation from the other side. And as I say it though, Lamont does assist Iraqi Zoro with a kill there. The Flash was forced out of that Camille, but they got what they wanted and they can leave with their lives.
Good. I'm glad that Rocky Zoro is really good. He's actually solo killed a bunch of people on Malphite, so this probably shouldn't be as surprising as it sounds to me. But Rocky Zoro, with a lot of resources, with his jungler shadowing for him, is looking pretty good and at least puts some point of IMT at an advantage. Now, there's the Ragnarok. The Righteous Gloria has already been popped, and Tybe not finding as much success on this Olaf as maybe he would expect. We've got Dragon up in 20 seconds, so they should be able to reset. And with Corki package here, they need to be able to take this pretty quickly if they want to make use of that package.
Now Immortals beginning to poise in that direction. DNCO, though, with these piercing arrows, has just been able to push back. Yikes. And Goom. Selma might be coming in for the help there, but once again, that piercing arrow is going to shove them just far enough back that enemy finds a little bit of priority. The package is going to come out. Almost ran out of time, but
nice find on the Truth.
In response, it is Truth getting ulted here, but oh my goodness, so much damage in response. A pop-up is all you need. A Louis flag and dragging through them to try to get to the back half of this team of Immortals, but taking out Iraqi Zoro will certainly help them with starting up this dragon. And they will begin to damage it.
Watch Lamont and Hoon.
And in they go. Louis tries to go in first, gets exhausted. The Cyclone comes up here from Lamont, but it might not be enough as Ragnarok comes out on the backside. Lamont does stay alive. Truth has to back out of this one, but flash forward from Goom, who ends up going down. Feeding over another kill, letting this player in Truth go unstoppable. That is going to be one found by Lamont underneath the tower, though. Still, Dragon going over to no one.
Okay, they get mid priority. They're going to try and attack this enemy. They are going to have to recall, and that is a really good fight for IMT. It starts off with a fantastic pick onto Truth to try and find something. Good use of vision here. No mana from Hoon.
Oh my goodness, once again the piercing arrow just does so much, and my goodness, what looked like potentially a good pick onto Truth turns into a double kill for enemy.
Oh man, and it was a great fight from Lamont. Has a huge Cyclone that I think completely turns it around, but Goom being way too aggressive, flashes over the wall, finds himself in the middle of 5 members. Oh, and at that point it feels very difficult for an enemy to lose that one. They will find a kill off of that dragon. They will continue to get this. Tries to steal away the Scuttle. I think he got it because he did hit up the Smite, but I mean, it's at this point like table pickings, table scraps for the side of IMT. They're getting a little bit here and there, but enemy are just playing that much better, are finding kills from the mistakes of IMT.
They're not too far behind. IMT's not too far behind in golds, though. So they at least... they're not out of this fight quite yet. It's 11 minutes in the last game. They were facing a much harsher 11 minutes with their base being broken into. So considering the fact that they're only 3K behind, not too bad. They did manage to get the first tower of the game a little bit earlier, so they've at least got a little bit of responding pressure from 1-in-1 towers here. Yeah, they might not be winning these fights, but they're at least able to have some sort of recovery that they didn't have in the first game.
And they still have some strong points on the map. Hoon will always be useful as long as he can stay about on par with Corki. Still down about 2,000 gold. You see the items are starting to stack there for him. And Iraqi Zoro is still a carry threat, still going to be splitting and should be able to take this Dragon Lane bot tier 1. So there are some points of strength for Immortals that we weren't able to see because of what happened in game 1. And I'm looking forward to how Immortals can play this out, because they still have some mechanics, some of those comeback mechanics that we were talking about. The ultimate from Lamont has been huge every single time. And I'm wanting to, I just need to see a sign of life. Something from Immortals that tells me this team will not just drop out quickly from this major.
That makes things tough, getting hit by that last embrace to start things off, and it's going
no decoy.
Chains of Corruption that actually hits there. Yeah, no clone there to try to absorb any of that damage. Lamont keeps dropping the clone after getting hit by the last embrace, which, you know, is understandable because when you get hit by the last embrace, you are going to be immobile, right? So the clone
Yeah.
and you as the individual, as the player, look similar, but it doesn't let you move very far. You're right next to it. So if there's a response, oh my goodness, this poor Nami, poor yikes. This is
You're not
seriously
backing.
yikes, not able to back. So, you know, there's some options, there's some opportunities. Still only a 3K gold lead in favor of NME. It's been a couple minutes since I brought that up last. You got Lamont as well with the Guardian Angel.
They're going to do this. They do a ton of damage to this. They can try and take this away, and not a lot of members of IMT are here. Here comes the teleport immediately from Camille.
Out comes the Ragnarok. God. The tidal wave does not hit anyone, and that is a lot of damage from the Dawning Shadow. Hextech ultimatum in the middle. In the meantime, Goom has to back away from this fight. There's the revival coming through onto Lamont, but it won't last very long. That's another kill down. Now, Yikes and Hoon have to run away from the rest of this team. They may have gotten them low enough to prevent them from going for the Baron, and that is absolutely the case. But they are still in a dangerous position right there, though. DNZO takes or gets stalled up, doesn't matter, because Truth is on the backside, has time to respond. It'll be yet another kill for Enemy.
Really great job from Enemy to use the Baron as a potential way of forcing and kind of an unforced error onto IMT. If you're IMT, they really can't escape from that Baron pit. You can play that a lot slower than maybe you would have, maybe from what we've seen right there. You have all of your tools available to you. Lamont had still gotten a great amount of that damage from his Cyclone, but Enemy turn away from the Baron and find a massive fight for them, and can now reset and do the same thing again, this time taking it a lot quicker. And IMT, are they going to look for this? And Louis doing a fantastic job of zoning.
So they are going to get the Baron. In the meantime, Louis just says, hey, I'm going to keep the whole team away from me, barely able to get that. Actually,
two-man shockwave.
The culling on the back.
Zio.
A lot of damage to Dawning Shadow right there, trying to put down as much as possible. Zio looking to get another piercing arrow to deal some extra damage there. No members, aside from a Louis, of Enemy go down, so still 4 Baron buffs available on the table. Goom needs to be very careful with this long-range damage.
All right, Louis, if you're 1,000 IQ here, Goom is just dead for stepping up. You stepped up a little too far. You forgot this is no longer your lane anymore. This is now property of Enemy. Same thing with your jungle in a minute. But they're going to get themselves a Drake as well. If a Louis is like 1,000 IQ, you pick up Guardian Angel here, and then you're just literally the biggest nuisance for IMT. They can never kill you, and if they can try to get it, you'll just get reset and be able to flag and drag your way back out of the map. We're seeing here NME, Lamont is trying to do what he can on a side lane, Araki Zoro as well, but the map is just so far collapsed for them that it's really difficult to try and split push when you have to attend certain waves, or you have to force from NME saying you either attend this team fight, you either come to fight us or stop us from this take, or you just lose the game.
Yep, that is absolutely how Enemy has been playing for the last little while, and Immortals has been trying to split. Enemy recognizes that, says, hey, we're all going to the mid lane. Everybody come here. And by the time Immortals is aware that all 5 members are pushing down this mid lane, it's too late for those split pushers to try to regain positioning and become a part of that fight. Here, though, is a nice little pick out onto Selma. Gets picked up by not just the Cyclone, but also the Tidal Wave. The flash forward for the second charge of the Cyclone. That will be a nice little shockwave, but it was during the Zonias. Doesn't matter, though. It will still be a kill going over to Hoon. Louis says, hey, what are you doing to my team? Get out of here. Now is taking aggro from the rest of these members here, as 2 are being fought. That's Zoro taking so much damage, and that's going to be more super minions here coming from the bottom side.
That might have looked a little strange for everybody who's watching from a Louis, but trying to tie up the members of IMT, bait them with this Jarvan saying, hey, look, I might be killable. I'm sitting in the middle of 3 of you guys, but also prevents recalls from coming out and makes it so that Enemy can finally get this bottom tier inhibitor that won't respawn, and a great use of the Baron. But honestly, a very good response from IMT, finding out the 2 immobile members of these Enemy, getting the marksman down, and finding the picks. It's good. It's a breath of fresh air for them, but it's still 9,000 gold in the disadvantage, and they need to find something a little bit more than 2 kills for the Wukong.
And Araki Zoro, you know, we were talking about initiation. Yes, provides initiation, but not frontline, and has been kind of forced into the position of being frontline here. Therefore, looking at 7 deaths, 3, 7, and 2, kill participation of 5 and 7 deaths. That's a rough spot to be in. And honestly, that's all you can do, though, in this position. As Iraqi Zoro has to go in hot and heavy, has to go and try to find one of these Hextech ultimatums, and it is absolutely not working out. Enemy recognizes they have the advantage.
All right, here's the Baron. It is time, Jolly, for everybody's favorite. It is Baron dance time. Fighting in the mid lane between the two junglers. They're saying hi. It's like two dogs just like walking by each other, like sniffing each other. Like, okay, cool, we're out, we're leaving. But it is started up, and there's Baron going down, but this could be a fight for IMT.
There it is. It's going to be another Baron over there. The Hextech ultimatum is not going to help much. The revive on that. Oh, as Louis able to flash over the wall, gets out time, taking up so much of this aggression, and that is going to be another revive, but it doesn't help when 5 members of enemy are
oh my god, Truth
will go down. It's a revive, though, once again, as Hoon tries to do everything possible into Truth. Still not able to make much of anything, and this will be another inhibitor down in favor of enemy. They are going to focus on trying to push this one in. That is a bunch of Baron minions. That is all 5 members of enemy on the Nexus. They are going in. They know they have it, and they have swept out Immortals Gaming here. Enemy finding themselves the 3rd victors for today.
It is all 2-0s here on the stream today. Most of them have been 2-0s across the bracket, but enemy with a very strong showing. It has been kind of one-sided all throughout. Casanova, do we get the patent pending draft gap?
You need a little rustling.
Okay.
I need
yeah. Thank you.
Stamp. Let's get a draft gap in there for at least for game 1.
There you go. There we go.
For game 1, absolutely. But I don't want to like harp too much on Immortals drafting as a whole. I really want to compliment NME's drafting. I think that the way they approach the draft is immaculate. They went into game 1 and they picked 5 flex picks, and not only are these 5 flex picks that can go to a bunch of different roles, they also synergize with each other. So no matter where those lane assignments went to get the good matchups, they had an incredibly strong comp. I need to shout out the Pantheon play from Selma being absolutely insane, pairing up with Tybe and roaming around, creating so much pressure on the map. And really, I mean, Truth's team fighting has been some of the best I have seen. Now, I want to bring some stats to you, Alk, and I want you to kind of let me know how these hit your ear, and maybe we need to see some draft adaptations in the future because of this.
Okay.
Corky, 5 wins, 1 loss on the day. Lucian, 2 wins, 6 losses on the day. Now, if I remember correctly, Lucian was the first pick and Corky was the second. How does that sound to you, Alk?
Sounds pretty bad. Like you're picking the Lucian pick. I mean, I was looking at even qualifier data, right? Coming in just from pick rate alone, Lucian goes from 60% win rate, like the 5th most picked champion, to the 1st most in the 2nd qualifier, and then having like a sub 47% win rate all of a sudden. Is because of the massive spike. I think everybody knows how powerful Lucian can be and the ceilings you can reach with this champion, but I feel like Corky and Lucian have taken really opposite paths, where I thought Corky was very overrated in the qualifiers and has done fantastic so far in the majors, and Lucian was underrated in the qualifiers and is just really underperforming here today.
And so the interesting thing between these 2 picks, right, is they're both picks that are mid-bottom flex picks, or mid-Dragon Lane flex. Now, so they serve a similar role, but there's so much attack damage in the meta that when you can get Corky with such a strong pick that's going to be dealing that magic damage, it feels like such an incredibly powerful pick. And I don't know, we should see maybe more bans, more first pick priority on this, because it can go to multiple lanes. And now, Jolly, I think NME is the first team we've seen really taking these flex picks to the next level. In game 1 picking 5 flex picks, in game 2 picking arguably 5 flex picks. Olaf's probably always going to be the jungler. But do you think that we'll see this meta expand past NME and other teams are going to start to adapt to this strategy of finding a lot more flex in the early draft?
I would hope so. And, you know, maybe if teams get their own Selma, possibly. I think, honestly, a lot of it has to do with Selma. I cannot praise this support enough because, you know, he doesn't really even approach it in a normal support style. Understands that, yes, I'm supporting in this lane, but I can take whatever I know will work into the opposing composition, and has very frequently been one of the last picks as well for the team. Not in this case because, oh yes, actually in this case as well. So being able to know that the flexibility of your picks are going into one of the least flexed roles, that I think is huge, and hopefully something that other teams in this region are going to pick up.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool to see this out of Selma, but also I wanted to touch on the fact that NME, we harped on C9 for picking triple marksman comps. This is a triple marksman comp out of NME, but in my opinion, this was a very well executed triple marksman draft. And Alec, I wanted to pick your brain if this is also a way that you would like to see more of it, or do we still kind of not love the triple marksman, like to see more of a different style?
Well, it won, so results-based analysis says it's good. No, but we touched upon it on the cast where we're like, okay, this is triple marksman, but you have frontline. You have people who can go in for you. You have tools to engage. You have those comeback mechanics in case you fall behind later early in the game. This is exactly how I want to see this. Maybe you can kind of switch around who's going to be the engage. It doesn't have to be this Olaf. It can be things like the Braum, the Alistar, the Leona in the support position. But triple marksman can work, and it's very potent, but it needs things to kind of separate the front and the back line, make sure that you're not just getting bursted down, because Camille and Wukong in a triple marksman back line is just like all of them die instantly, and it's really hard to deal with. But I thought that Alui and Tide did a fantastic job today, and looking forward to what their run looks like as we get further in the bracket.
And I think too, when you consider the triple marksman comp, you're including Senna in that, right? So, like, to try to factor in, to try to say, like, get Leona or Braum or someone like that, that's not really ideal, because you're probably going to want the Senna, in that support role. And so to have, honestly, the big thing is the jungle. To have that jungle Olaf.
Yeah.
Jolaf. Sounds like Jolly. I like it. because it's so much tankiness, then that's absolutely okay to have the 3 marksmen. I think that's the big thing. It's not just the initiators, it's tanky ones. And oh my gosh, they picked 2 of the top tanky initiators that you could possibly get here to back up these 3 marksmen. So just, really well executed. You're absolutely right, Casanova. It's not even so much on how poorly Immortals drafted, it's just how dang well NME drafted.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see more from NME in the future, but this is all the games that I get with you two today at the very least. But I want to get your final thoughts, each of you, before I send you away. So Alec, what are your final thoughts, your takeaways on the first half of today?
First half of today, Major is really top heavy. Like you have Immortals, or sorry, you have Tribe, you have C9, and then it feels like gap, and we start filling in teams after that. Sentinels, you can start to say Sentinels, Immortals, I think are in the same region. NME, although they have won against Immortals, I did say at the beginning of the game that Immortals tends to be a little bit flippant on how they like to play and can definitely lose games that may be winnable. I think that we're starting to see kind of the cream of the top rise, and just the rest of everybody start to fill out their roles as you get further into the day.
Yeah. I guess for me, I got to say thank you to everybody, first off, because this is my first time being on this broadcast.
Welcome.
Right?
Yeah,
I love it.
welcome,
You're not getting rid of me so easily. So, so thank you to everybody, who tuned in and supports these teams and these players, and this really fresh stage of Wild Rift. So for everybody that, really, whether you're just in Twitch chat complimenting people or, telling us how bad of a job we're doing, we appreciate all of you. So
okay, not that one. Not that last one.
No, okay.
For Jolly, not for...
Alec doesn't like that last
Be nice
one.
to Alec, chat. Be nice.
Be nice to
man.
Alec. Yeah, he's very sensitive, okay? But seriously, it has been a blast to be here. I cannot wait to see how these teams grow.
Yeah, but with that, excited to see you both tomorrow. I was happy to have you on, but that's not going to do it for us today. We have even more coming up. I've got some fresh faces that are going to be joining me, and I'll introduce them later. But this has been an amazing first half, and we have even more Wild Rift Summoner Series coming up in just a moment. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.